Hello everyone, it's John from DoubleSleeved here, and welcome to a Zendikar Rising spoiler card video. It's finally here. The set that should release on the 25th of September, which is only but a few short weeks away. I've got some cards to look at. You may have already seen a few of these, and if you watched the video that came out last night, obviously here in the UK, or early this morning or yesterday, whenever it would be for you guys over in America, then you will have seen a bunch of these cards that were on that video. I think it was a good video. It was, did a decent job considering all the relevant restrictions they've got to make. But we're just going to go through them, see what we think, look at the new mechanics, look at the new cards, and just, take it from there. So, before anything else, make sure you like this video, make sure you subscribe to the channel. Loads of funky content. Careful. Here we go. Archpriest of Iona. We've got a little star 2 for 1 mana straight away. Got a rare. There's some rares, some uncommons, some mythics, and some commons in here. So we're just going to have a little look, see what's going on. It's a human cleric, and we're going to see a theme here. Archpriest of Iona's power is equal to the number of creatures in your party. Clarifies there that your party consists of up to 1 of each of the cleric, rogue, warrior, and wizard. So they're kind of doing a little nod to the old adventuring party style RPG-esque Dungeons and Dragons sort of adventure thing, with Zendikar being a bit of an adventure plane. At the beginning of combat on your turn, if you have a full party, target creature gets +1/+1 and gains flying until end of turn. So basically, when this guy lands, he's a 1/2 because he is a cleric. If you've got another one out, or you put another one out, it could be up to a 4/2 for 1 mana, which is pretty good if you've got that amount of people out. And at the beginning of combat, if it is a 4/2 and you've got all those guys out, then you could give something a +1/+1 flying. You'll see party used quite a bit. It is one of the new mechanics. And I say one of the new mechanics because they are bringing 4 mechanics to this set, and 2 of them are new. Won't go into too much detail about whether or not party is a good mechanic, but on first glance, some of the powers are quite powerful. Some of the way they use the mechanics. However, it feels to me like a big hoop to jump through to get 4 different subclass cards out. Subtype class just seems a bit odd. Here's a warrior. It's a Cliffhaven Sellsword. It's a 3/1 for 2. Vanilla common with the warrior subtype. And obviously you can see core are back. I've also got these from a couple of different websites, so some of the quality is better than others, so apologies for that. Emeria Captain is a 1/1 for 3 and a white, and it says Flying Vigilance. Okay. When Emeria Captain enters the battlefield, put a 1/1 counter on it for each creature in your party. Obviously, so that could be up to 4. It is a warrior, so straight away it would have a +1/+1, so it would be a 2/2 Flying Vigilance for 4. I think at the point where you've got 2 or 3 different cards out of those varieties and it becomes potentially a 5/5 Flying Vigilance for 4, yeah, that's really powerful. Farsight Adept. When Farsight Adept enters the battlefield, you and target opponent each draw a card. Interesting. Obviously, a multiplayer format might benefit more from that from a politicking perspective. But in terms of standard, you and your opponent both drawing a card. I guess it depends what deck you're playing and what you expect the opponent is playing. Never good for your opponent to be drawing cards. You don't get card advantage that way. It's a 3/3 for 3. Kabria Outrider. A 3/3 for 3 and a white. Human warrior. When Kabria Outrider enters the battlefield, target creature gets +1/+1 until end of turn for each creature in your party. So, again, when it enters the battlefield, you can give a creature +1/+1. It's not a permanent ability. Obviously, you're going to be giving something at least a +1/+1. Again, once we've seen how powerful counters have been in Core 2021, but Plus and plus ones, just for a turn, I don't know. Could be useful though if you're giving something +4. Shepherd of Heroes, another common, 3/4 for 4 and a white. An Angel Cleric with flying. When Shepherd of Heroes enters the battlefield, you gain 2 life for each creature in your party. So again, you could gain 8 life when this enters the battlefield. A 3/4 flyer for 5 that gains you 8 life is alright. If it gains you 2 life, it's when you think about like the Gaggle Master that we had in the last set, which was gaining us life for all the flyers we had out, rather than having to specifically have one of each type. Could be tricky to build. Skyclave Apparition, a 2/2 for 1 white. Core Spirit. When Skyclave Apparition enters the battlefield, exile up to 1 target non-land, non-token permanent you don't control with converted mana cost 4 or less. When it leaves the battlefield, the exiled card's owner creates a XX blue illusion creature token where X is converted mana cost for the exiled card. So what we're doing here is for 3 mana, we're getting a 2/2 creature and we're exiling a potentially 4 CMC card. Exiling is massive. Permanent gives you huge flexibility. And the downside is this token that they're going to get. Maximum they're going to get is a 4/4 token. That token doesn't have flying, doesn't have any other special abilities. So if you're getting rid of their, 4 mana nasty creature, then you're also gaining yourself a 2/2 for 3 mana. That could be, certainly in some control format, control decks, could be really good. So I'm keen to see how that goes. Tazri, Beacon of Unity, first mythic that we're looking at now, is a 4/6 for 5, so it's 4 and a white. Legendary creature, human warrior. This spell costs 1 less to cast for each creature in your party, and remember, you can have up to 4 creatures in your party. So this could cost you a white. Now that's powerful. So for 2 or a blue, 2 or a black, 2 or a red, and 2 or a green, look at the top 6 cards of your library. You may reveal up to 2 cleric, rogue, wizard, warrior, and or ally cards from among them and put them into your hand. Put the rest on the bottom of your library in a random order. So this is kind of the potentially commander card. The commander for an adventure party, where you're going to get this out for 1 white. It's a 4/6. No extra abilities on top of that. It's not vigilance. It's not lifelink. It is what it is. It's not first strike, but you are getting yourself a bunch. And we know wizards certainly, warriors certainly, and even to a degree the rogue cleric allies. And there are plenty in Magic's history. So definitely something that would be useful if you're going to only pay 4 mana to bash a load of cards into your hand, 2 cards into your hand, and whack, a few onto the bottom of your library. So could be a useful card. I think the biggest feature for me is that you could pay 1 white to get a 4/6 out. Confounding Conundrum, a 1 and a blue for an enchantment that says when it enters the battlefield, draw a card. Okay, so you get 1 card for 2 mana, isn't great in blue. Whenever a land enters the battlefield under your opponent's control, if that player had another land enter the battlefield under their control this turn, they return a land they control to its owner's hand. So, what am I thinking about this card? I'm thinking in a one-on-one situation. We haven't seen necessarily a load of cards in this set so far, as you'll see, that let you put a load of cards onto the battlefield. In Standard, it probably will continue to be a theme with the likes of like Azusa out there and with the Cultivates and things like that. But in multiplayer and in sort of your more eternal formats, absolutely. This is going to be an interesting card that sort of just stops that land ramp, which, as we know, is one of the best ways of ramping altogether. So, for 2 mana, and you draw a card, and then you just sort of stop everyone else from ramping. I like the fact that it doesn't stop you from ramping. Interesting. But and it also doesn't, I think what's great about this card is it doesn't like say when a land enters the battlefield. It just says the second land, you know. When they have another land enter the battlefield, that is, you know, could still be useful for them. They can still bounce lands and things, but I think it's good that it's not kind of absolutely crushing them, because that'd just be not fun. Okay, we've got a Jace. Mirror Mage for 1 blue, 4 loyalty, and it has Kicker 2, which is the first of the returning mechanics. Kicker 2, when Jace Mirror Mage enters the battlefield, if Jace was kicked, create a token that's a copy of Jace Mirror Mage, except it's not legendary and its starting loyalty is 1. So 2 Planeswalkers for the price of sort of 1.5. It pluses 1 and it scries 2. It zeros and it draws a card. Reveal it. Remove a number of loyalty counters equal to the card's converted mana cost from Jace. Sorted. So a turn 2 or 3 Jace that scries you, potentially draws you a card. If it's a, you know, it's not even just card draw. It's it removes counters from him, which I think is less than powerful. But you could have a 3 CMC, 5 loyalty Planeswalker, or a 5 CMC, like 7 loyalty Planeswalker, because you can get 2 down straight away and plus them both up to scry 4. You know, potentially that's useful. But yeah, I think it's an interesting card. Merfolk Windrobber. A 1 mana, 1/1 Merfolk Rogue with flying. A 1/1 flyer. Whenever Merfolk Windrobber deals combat damage to a player, that player mills a card. You can sacrifice Merfolk Windrobber and draw a card. You can only activate that when your opponent has 8 or more cards in their graveyard. There is a slight mill sub-theme to this set that we have seen so far. So that's the first kind of main card that shows it. I think a 1/1 flyer that does a bit of milling potentially draws you a card. I've not got a problem with that. I think that's good. I think that's a nice little card. I think it'll be fun in draft. I think it'll be annoying. And blue-white flyers is one of my favourite little archetypes, so no issue with that. Another 1 mana blue card, Ruin Crab, at 0/3, and it has Landfall, the other returning mechanic. Landfall, we like lands. Zendikar Rising is a sweet land set, as Zendikar is a land plane. Whenever a land enters the battlefield under your control, each opponent mills 3 cards. So there you go. That's another mill card. Milling 3 in standard or any other format is kind of annoying, but not like the worst. Milling 3 every turn or milling 3 whenever a land hits is definitely very annoying, especially in like your 40 card draft decks. You're milling nearly 10% of your cards whenever a land enters. That kind of gives you your clock being very, very slim, especially if you can get this out turn 1. You know, you just start milling them like crazy, and you're putting out like your Merfolk Windrobber with it, where it's milling as it's dealing damage. Another 1 mana blue card, Shell Shield. It's an instant card. It has Kicker 1, so you can pay the extra 1. Target creature you control gets a +0/+3 until the end of turn. If this spell was kicked, that creature also gains hexproof. So it's a 2 mana hexproofing that could be a 1 mana instant spell. 1 mana instants are useful in some respects. Doesn't really do a huge amount though, given that plus the toughness is okay, not the best combat trick. Hexproof is definitely much better. Windrider Wizard, another wizard. It's a 2/2 for 2 and blue. It's flying. Whenever you cast an instant sorcery or wizard spell, you may draw a card. If you do, discard a card. So a bit of looting whenever you cast a spell can be very useful. Or say instant sorcery or wizard. And it's a flying 2/2. I don't mind a flying 2/2 that you play wizards or instants and sorcerers. You're going to play it and you draw and you get a bit of filtering of your cards. I think that's a decent little card. Acquisitions Expert is a 1/2 human rogue for 1 and a black. When Acquisitions Expert enters the battlefield, target opponent reveals a number of cards from their hand equal to the number of creatures in your party. So up to 4. You choose one of those cards, that player discards that card. So it's kind of a weak card in terms of like they don't have to show you their whole hand. And if this is a turn 2 play, they're probably going to have a decent sized hand. And if it's a turn 2 play, you're probably not going to have that many party members out. So it might be a 1 or a 2 card reveal. So they show you 2 lands or they show you a land and a card that they don't really need. I'm not bowled over by a 1/2 that has enough ability. Another kicker card, a 1 mana sorcery, Blood Chief's Thirst. It's got kicker 2 and a black. Destroy target creature or planeswalker with converted mana cost 2 or less. If this spell was kicked, destroy target creature or planeswalker instead. Okay. I like this card. And I shall tell you for why. Yes, it's only creature and planeswalker, but it's better than just creature. It's a 1 mana removal spell. Yes, it's conditional, but it is a 1 mana removal spell that turn 1 or 2, potentially even 3 or 4, is going to do something. And in draft, it's going to do a fair bit more. We haven't seen a huge amount of 1 or 2 mana creatures yet, but we've not seen a huge amount of cards yet. And the fact that late game or later game for 4 mana, you're just destroying a creature, that flexibility I think is invaluable, and it means you're playing this card over 2 separate cards you might want to play. Becomes 2 different types of removal, which I think is really important. And you'll see actually quite a bit where kicker and one of the other mechanic that we've not looked at yet has helped make flexibility a much more interesting and viable thing. Coveted Prize. A 4 and a black sorcery. This spell costs 1 less to cast to each creature in your party, so yet again, this could cost just a black if you have a cleric, rogue, warrior and wizard out. Search your library for a card, put it into your hand, then shuffle your library. Okay. If you have a full party, you may cast a spell with converted mana cost 4 or less from your hand without paying its mana cost. So, best case scenario, you pay 1 black for a sorcery, you go through your whole library, you put a card, any card into your hand, you then play a spell that is CMC 4 or less for free. For 1 black. This is the kind of payoff where if you can engineer yourself one of each type, then this card just becomes amazing. Like a 1 mana tutor that you can play a card afterwards. You could go and fetch out a 4 CMC card and then play it. So the spell we've just seen, you go and fetch that out, you destroy a creature or whatever it may be. You can go and fetch out a 10 CMC if you want and then play a 4 CMC afterwards. Even if there are 2 or 3 members of the party, this becomes a 2 or 3 cost spell, but it's nowhere near as valuable or viable. When you've got 4 different members out, absolutely crazy. And here we go for the last of the mechanics. They called it something, and I'm going to fail at what it is, but basically it's dual cards. Dual-sided cards or something, land cards. Basically, there is a set of cards that are double-sided again. So they've gone for that double-sided thing. On one side is, I believe, is always a land. And on the other side is something like this, a spell. So these cards, where there is a spell on one side and a land on the other, the land comes into play tapped. and it is just a land that taps for black. This is the other side, which is Pelika Predation. 2 and a black for a sorcery that says target opponent reveals their hand. You choose a card from it with converted mana cost 3 or greater. That player discards that card. It's expensive to do that, but what is really good about this card is that if you draw it and you don't need it, it's a land. Yes, it's a tapped land, but it's still a land. It can still trigger landfall. Or you can play it as a sorcery if you don't need the land. So you're not wasting that land. And it potentially means you run fewer core lands because you can run more of these kinds of cards. Yes, that's not in English. No, I can't read that. However, I can tell you what it says because I looked at it beforehand. This is a 1 red for a 0/1. And it says basically landfall. When a land enters the battlefield, this card gets +2/+2. So this is a 0/1 for 1 that when you play a land becomes a 2/3 for 1 mana. Turn 1, play it. Turn 2, it's a 2/3 and it's attacking you. That's pretty scary. Spitfire Lagak. Anyway, it's a 3/4 for 3 and a red. It's a lizard. It's just a lizard. Whenever a land enters the battlefield under your control, Spitfire Lagak deals 1 damage to each opponent. Well, we know how annoying pinging is. We've seen it in standard in red decks with Scorch Spitter. Whenever it attacks, it deals 1 damage. This doesn't even need to attack. Obviously, it's 4 mana, so it's a bit annoying. But for 4 mana, starts dealing damage in a multi-opponent format. You're dealing 1 damage to each opponent. That's definitely annoying. Get a number of lands out. Here's another one of those dual-sided cards. Valikut Awakening. Another 2 and this time a red. For an instant, put any number of cards from your hand on the bottom of your library, then draw that many cards +1. I like this kind of cycling, kind of looting, kind of recycling maybe cards. And you're getting an extra 1. So in theory, this could say 3 mana draw a card. But actually, if you've got a handful of lands or something you don't need, then it's a 3 mana refresh your hand and another one. But you don't have to put all your cards. You could just put none of them on and just draw a card, you know? And it's instant speed, which I think is really useful. And if you don't need it, on the back is a tapped red land. Gnarly Colony is a 2/2 for 2. It's a bear. But it also has Kicker for 2 and a green. If Gnarly Colony was kicked, it enters the battlefield with 2 1/1 counters on it. Each creature you control with a 1/1 counter on it has trample. So another 1/1 counter matters style card in green. It's got that same trample if you have a +1/+1 counter as the feline Watsy Chops. The Pride Malkin has in Core 21. And again, you can play it for 2. It's a 2/2 for 2. Or you can pay 5 and get yourself a 4/4 for 2 that has trample. So I like it. It's a reprint. Reprint alert. Lotus Cobra is in this set. It's a 2/1 for 1 and a green. It is a snake and it has landfall. Whenever a land enters the battlefield under your control, add 1 mana of any colour. Doubling up your mana for that land that you're playing on that turn. I think that's what green's all about. I like that kind of ramp. It's on a creature, which is absolutely fine because it can easily be removed, especially when it's only got 1 toughness. But I think it's great. I think it's great. Great ramp, great card. Great to see it reprinted. Might of Marasa. It is a 1 and a green for an instant. Kicker, 2 and a green. Target creature gets +2/+3 until end of turn. If this spell is kicked, it gets +5/+5. +2/+3 for 2. It's okay. +5/+5 for 5. Not so good. But, you know, gives you the flexibility potentially if you need it. But, hey-ho, it's okay. Tajura Blight Blade is a 1/1 for 1 with Death Touch. It is an elf rogue. So these sorts of cards are going to be really interesting to see how they play out. It is a rogue. It is a 1/1 with Death Touch, so you're not going to really hate playing that turn 1. It will start to stack up, though, in terms of the party, as it is a party member. Talking about party members, you've got Tajuru Paragon, which is a 3/2 for 1 and a green, elf. It is also a cleric, rogue, warrior, and wizard. Now, what I haven't got clarity on, and I know what you're going to say to me is it all of those things? Therefore, does it count as 4 party members? No, I don't believe that this counts as 4 party members, because if this counted as 4 party members, that would be sick and twisted and wrong. I believe it can count as one of those 4, and therefore, if you need a rogue and you've got a wizard and a warrior and a cleric out, you can play this and you tick the rogue box. It has kicker for 3, and it says when it enters the battlefield, if it was kicked, reveal the top 6 cards of your library. You may put a card that shares a creature type from it among them into your hand and the rest of the spot of your library. So basically, you can then go, I would like to find a cleric, rogue, warrior, or wizard, I believe. So you can play it for 2 or you can play it for 5. I think it as a 2-mana party member that's a 3/2, if party becomes what it could become if people can build decks well, then yeah, this is going to be an essential in that deck. Tajuru Snarecaster, little rogue. It's a reach. It's a 1/4 reach for 2 and a green. Again, it's a rogue. What are you going to do? Taunting Arbor Mage is a 2/3 for 3, so that's 2 and a green. Elf Wizard, it's a little wizard. Kicker for 3. When Taunting Arbor Mage enters the battlefield, if it was kicked, all creatures able to block target creature this turn do so. So you get something big, maybe you get something death touchy, maybe you get something that you don't mind throwing away. It's an odd one. Not sure how good that ability is. Good if you don't, obviously if they don't want to lose any creatures, but yeah, it's a 2/3, but it's a wizard, and that's kind of the thing that I'm looking at this point, is how many of these party members are viable. Okay, Cleric of Life's Bond is a 2/2 for a white and a black. I saw on Twitter, on Instagram before this, that an old card, and I can't remember the name of it, you can tell me in the comments, or you can't, it's up to you. There was an old cleric card that has reduced cost of cleric by white-black. And that's the sales of that card were, I think the biggest they had been the day before the announcements. #leaks. Clearly, people were aware that there is going to be a cleric sub-theme. It looks like they've printed a few clerics by the first, we can have a look at them, by first reckoning. And this is one of them, Vampire Cleric. Whenever another cleric enters the battlefield under your control, you gain a life. And whenever you gain a life for the first time each turn, you can put a 1/1 counter on Cleric of Life's Bond. So this thing is just going to gain you life and grow. All the things that you want out of a card that's in white and black. Yeah, I mean, there are some... I've not gone through and looked at all the clerics that are in standard and whatever else, but there's clearly clerics throughout, and they're going to be printing more. And it's a vampire, and who doesn't like a vampire? Marasa Root Grazer. It's an interesting little 2/3 for a green and a white. It is a beast. It has vigilance. 2/3 vigilance for 2. And you can tap it and put a basic land from your hand onto the battlefield. Landfall. Am I right? You can tap it and return a basic land you control to its owner's hand. So, it's got vigilance. You attack. Then you defend. And then at the end of your opponent's turn, you whack a land out. Or you return a land and play it next turn. I like it. I think it's a great card. I think we'll see it in landfall full decks for sure. The other Planeswalker to Jace is Nahiri, Heir of the Ancients. Is a 2 red white for a 4 loyalty. It has a +1. Create a 1/1 white core warrior creature token. You may attach an equipment you control to it. Cool. It is a -2. Look at the top 6 cards of your library. You may reveal a warrior or equipment card from among them and put it into your hand. Put the rest on the bottom of your library in a random order. Cool. As a -3. Nahiri, Heir of Ancients, deals damage to target creature or planeswalker equal to twice the number of equipment you control. So equipment themed, a little bit warrior themed. Yeah, it'll find its way into some decks. We've not seen a huge amount of equipment yet in Zendikar, so we might see some more juicy equipments. There are obviously quite a few around on in Standard. As an example, there's the big old hammer, the old 10/10 hammer, I think it is, that costs 1 to play but costs 8 to equip, something like that. So the fact that you can play that turn 1 or early turns and then up 1 Nahiri and get an 11/11 warrior each turn potentially is a good little combo. But yeah, I think the other part of this is that she creates a warrior which is a party member, so potentially that's useful too. But nice to see a flexible enough, equipment focused planeswalker that costs 4 loyalty. I think that's a good, nicely built. What is not nicely built on first glances is this Nissa of Shadowed Boughs. 2 black green for 4 loyalty, so same kind of makeup as the Nahiri. It's got landfall. Whenever a land enters the battlefield under your control, put a loyalty counter on Nissa of Shadowed Boughs. So straight away you play this on turn 5 before you've played a land. It becomes, you then play a land and you get yourself a 5 loyalty for 4. You then +1 this and you untap a target land you control. You may have it become a 3/3 elemental creature with haste and menace until the end of turn. It's still a land. This is a 6 loyalty planeswalker for 4 that's just created a 3/3 hasted menace creature. That then next turn you may put a creature card with convert mana cost less than or equal to the number of lands you control onto the battlefield from your hand or graveyard with 2 1/1 counters on it. I'm calling it, it's too powerful. There you go. It's too powerful. You can make this come out on turn 5. It can be 6 loyalty, and on turn 6 it's got 2 loyalty left, and it's just recurred any creature you can imagine from the graveyard. And in black and green, it's so easy to get rid of a card from your hand, and you've given that card +1, 2 +1/+1 counters. It's too good. It's too big. It's too good, and it makes me feel sad. We're getting rid of 1 Nissa in the standard meta, and we're getting another one, and I don't think we're losing any power level. I think this will be played a lot, and I'm sad. There you go. What I'm not sad about, though, look at my little faces perked right up. Omnath, Locus of Creation. It is a 4-colour Omnath. And everyone knows Omnath is an elemental, and I love me an elemental. This is a fab card. Automatically enters my elemental deck for my commander deck. When it enters the battlefield, you can draw a card. Great. That line's used on a couple of cards, so I think this could be a useful thing that happens on some cards, probably blue cards. It also has landfall. So, I mean, it's a 4/4 for 4, just to say. But it also has landfall. Whenever a land enters the battlefield under your control, you gain 4 life if it's the first time that you have resolved it this turn. If it's the second time, then you add 4 mana, a red, a green, a white, and a blue, with no restrictions on that mana. If it's the third time, Omnath deals 4 damage to each opponent and each planeswalker you don't control. Well, whack out 3 lands, which is not difficult to do in an elemental deck, and all of a sudden you've got yourself a damage dealing, mana generating, life gaining card drawing card. Yes, please. I don't need any black elementals in my deck, I've got all the other colours now. Great. Love it. Another little white-black cleric. Aura Skyclave Hierophant. It's a 3/3 for 2 and a black and a white. It's a legendary creature. It's got lifelink. It's a core cleric, by the way. It's lifelink. Whenever Aura Skyclave Hierophant or another cleric you control dies, return target cleric card with lesser converted mana cost from the graveyard to the battlefield. Yep. So it's just a bit of a recurring some clerics. We know there are some 2 mana. There are no doubt some decent 3 mana clerics out there too. This is a lifelink as well, which is useful. I like it. I think it's a cool card. I don't think it's crazy powerful, but I think it's good. You know, when this dies, you get yourself another card. What's wrong with that? Okay, another little party card. Spoils of Adventure. I like this card. It's quite a cute little image. 4 and a white and a blue. This spell costs 1 less to cast for each creature in your party. You gain 3 life and you draw 3 cards. 3 life, 3 cards for 6 is not ideal. 3 life, 3 cards for 2 is silly. So again, if you can stack your party out, all these cards become great. Can't argue with it. Zareth San the Trickster. So yeah, there are a lot of cards, by the way. I know we've been like 35 minutes, but keep coming with me. 3 blue black for a 4/4 Merfolk Rogue with Flash. I like a Flash card. It also has 2 blue black and return an unblocked attacking rogue you control to its owner's hand. Put Zareth San Trickster from your hand onto the battlefield tapped and attacking. Bit like ninjutsu, I guess. Whenever Zareth San deals combat damage to a player, you may put a target permanent card from that player's graveyard onto the battlefield under your control. So, rogue attacks, doesn't get blocked, you pay 4, you switch this guy in, you deal 4 damage, and you steal one of their creatures, and it's yours. I like that card. I like what it's doing. I like how it's making you think. I like everything about it. Yep. And this is probably one of the bigger announcements, I think, in terms of cards. You know, I talked about the two-sided land with land on one side and a sorcerer instant on the other. Well, this is the two-sided lands with a land on both sides. This is one of these dual lands they were talking about that's very different. It's obviously not as powerful as a dual land. But this has 1 colour on one side and 1 colour on the other. And when you play it, you choose which colour to play and then it becomes that colour. So it's land fixing, but only at 1 point. So you can choose if you need the white or, for this one, the black mana. They're all called pathways, and we've got a bunch of them. Hopefully they're all next to each other. So as you can see, that one's white and black, that one's red and green, that one's red and white, that one's blue and red, and there'll be another one that will be probably later on, the way this is all done. They come out as the same as basic lands, but they are not basic lands, so you cannot search for them with a fetch land or any other basic land fetching spell. However, I think absolutely fantastic cards, and they will immediately be popular because they are both red. That one's red and blue. It's the equivalent of having an island and a mountain in your hand. You can choose which one you want. Very cleverly done. Like it. I like how they're still coming up with ways of working the mana base so that it's interesting and flexible but not overpowered. Legion Angel. I'm undecided about this card, everyone. 2 white for a 4/3 flying angel warrior that says when it enters a battlefield you may reveal a card you own named Legion Angel from outside the game and put it into your hand. As long as you've got 4 mana out, you're playing a Legion Angel every turn. Is that as overpowered as it might be? I don't know. I'm struggling to understand whether or not having a sideboard with 15 of these in and 4 in your deck means you could feasibly just play these over and over again. I don't think you're going to have, you know what I mean? You're not going to have 15 in your sideboard, but you understand what I'm saying. you can just play this and then pull another one into your hand. Next turn, play this, pull another one into your hand. Next turn, play this. And each turn you're getting another angel for 4 mana. Powerful, I think. Powerful card. Another reprint. Great card quality. Do you like it? Ancient Tomb. Ooh, in standard. Tap, add 2, it deals 2 damage to you. It's a classic card that has been used in Commander and plenty of other formats. It's a land that generates you 2. Yeah, it deals you 2 damage, but in the long run, not as bad as you might think, especially in life gain decks and other decks that want to move quickly and just need the mana. Big ramp. Big ramp. Cavern of Souls. Sorry, just 1 second. Obviously, this is printed in a slightly different... it's got a slightly different symbol. So it is in a slightly different... I think it's in like the special sets. I assume it's going to be standard legal. I don't know. I just don't know. But either way, Cavern of Souls... These are getting reprinted, whether they're going to be standard legal or not. Still great cards. Cavern of Souls is being reprinted. You can tap it to add a mana of any colour as long as it's to be used on a creature spell. And that spell then can't be countered. We've already seen coveted prize. Expedition Diviner. 3 and a blue. Merfolk Wizard. 3 and a 2. As long as you control another wizard, Expedition Diviner has, when this creature dies, draw a card. So it's a 3/2 for 4 with flying. As long as you've got another wizard out, it has the... I don't like all these extra jump through hoops things. Touches me off a little bit. Grotag Bugcatcher, though, is a 1 and a red for a 1/2 Goblin Warrior with trample. When it attacks, it gets +1/0 until the end of turn for each creature in your party. So, yep, this could well be... I mean, straight away it's a 2/2 when it attacks. Could well be a 5/2 with trample for 2 mana. Yep. And that's the other one with the green and the white. And a printing of Prismatic Vista. Gets you any basic land for 1 life. They are printing the full set of Battle Bond lands. Which is obviously if you've got a bunch of lands out. Nope, these aren't Bond lands. What am I talking about? Basically, it comes into tapped unless you control 2 or fewer lands. So if it's the first or second land you play, you're laughing. They are printing the fetch lands. Hooray. Even though they said they weren't. I guess this is not in the main set of Zendikar Rising. I don't know. But they're printing all of them. All 10. All 10 are getting printed. And obviously, like you've seen, Prismatic Vista as well. Yeah. They're also printing them again, they announced, in the future, in Modern Horizons 2. We'll do a bit of a video on all that sort of stuff at some point. But yeah, on the one hand, yeah, absolutely fantastic. On the other hand, I think they said that they're printing them in like very specific places. You can only get them at like, I don't know if it was buy box promos or if it was box toppers or if it was in certain specific packs or what, I don't know. But they are reprinting them all. So hopefully they print enough that the price comes down enough for it to just become a normal card again, or as it should be. Because who doesn't want these cards in their decks? Just unfortunately at the point, a lot of people potentially invested in them and or has a load of them, and they're just not going to hold as much value. But hey, we'll see. They're reprinting Wasteland as well, so that's great. You tap and sacrifice it and destroy a non-basic land. Useful in some formats. And now back to the start. So there you go, guys. It's been 45 minutes of me talking at you about new cards. I'm excited about this set, you know. I like 4 mechanics instead of 3. 2 new, 2 old. I like it. Especially when one of them's a little bit, like, iffy, you know. The whole flippy cards, great. Love it. It's not overpowered. Certainly love the lands. Well, at the moment it's not that we've seen. Party is undecided, in my opinion. It's either going to be completely unachievable, or it's going to be there's going to be a way of building a deck to get it fairly accurate, in which case it's going to be crazy. We like landfall, and kicker. Yeah, kicker's cool. Good way of pumping some more mana in later game. So yeah, I like the set. I think it's good. I think we'll get a good flavour over the next couple of days as to what sort of cards are coming out, and therefore what we are going to expect. But yeah, fundamentally, looks like a decent set. Looks like it's going to be a good start to this year. Excited to see the rest of the year, what they produce as well. I'm going to be trying to do these videos as and when we have a good chunk of new cards out. Either way, like the video, subscribe to the channel. We really appreciate it. We're on nearly 275 subscribers. That has happened quickly. It's been a pleasure to bring you these videos. Let me know what you think. Have a fantastic time, everyone. And we'll see you guys in the next one.